All right. So what we see here is we see that your American government, I mean, even the Europeans have more respect for their citizens than our government does. Remember, all this is sanctioned and approved by the FDA. And the reason being is because of love of money. So when you're buying chicken and stuff, the chances are that it's been fused together with cow's blood, which we're forbidden as Hebrews to be eating blood. And then if you're eating beef, if you go out there in these restaurants and you are ordering these things and you do it on a regular basis, chances are you are eating swine's blood that has been used to fuse together beef. So now you see the reason why we tell you you need to eat at home. You need to know what you're eating. Because most people have not even a clue or an idea to even know what it means to actually eat clean. And it's impossible for you people to eat clean in a Greek Roman culture. Because nothing, as far as meat goes, is unclean to them. Are you following me? But we're going to go to Leviticus, the 11th chapter, and we're going to see what the Most High says, all right? Leviticus chapter 11. I thought I picked up the right CD. Should have made a whole bunch of different ones. And I'm doing this, brothers and sisters, because this actually started from last night, because a lot of people, believe it or not, they have no idea what clean and unclean is from the radio broadcast, but including us. So when you hear us little country Hebrews here, telling you that, when we show you videos about us loading up a cow and Brother Rich is going to butcher it. Are you following me? And Brother Rich can pretty much tell you the difference between a cow that has been pumped up with hormones, is that right? As opposed to our cows. Because Brother Rich knows how to butcher these things. He used to work for, what do you call that place? A meat processing plant. Do you know the difference? Can you tell the difference? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So we're going to have Brother Rich come up here for a second and tell us the difference between the cows that we bring there that is grass-fed, not with grain. And you people need to be told when you go to stores and stuff, too, that the meat, no wonder they have this little white sponge at the bottom of it that soaks up. It gives it more weight. And plus the meat you have has already been pumped up with water and antibiotics and stuff to give it more weight, so they can sell you more, because it's all about money and not your health. Now, you cannot solve, and we coin this all the time, natural or spiritual problems with natural means. You can't do it. And neither can you solve problems like this when you trust in a system to go and eat whatever it says because it's on the shelf. Uh-oh. You cannot expect to stay in optimum health. There's a reason why your family is always sick. And hopefully Chuck finds those videos, and we'll bring up the videos, the difference between the actual, we're going to talk about milk too. And we're going to let you see how blessed we are and how much that he has preserved us from. Which most you can't even fathom to ever do, but you will go to the store. Hallelujah. Tell us the difference, Brother Rich. Ain't I hate it? Don't you just hate my guts? I'm the wrong one you hating on.
Hallelujah. Well, I guess really the best place to start would be right at the very beginning, when the cows or the beef is brought in. The most notable difference is that the difference between what they call a grass-fed or a naturally fed beef and a grain-fed beef or a grain-supplemented beef. They call that, in the cattle industry, they call that conditioning the beef. One of the first things you notice that, you can just basically, sometimes it's kind of difficult to tell when they're getting off the trailer or whatever, but when you bring them into what's called the kill room or the skinning area, and you shoot the beef, the most noticeable thing that I've noticed was when you split the stomach cavity open and begin to pull out all the entrails and whatnot. A grass-fed beef or a buffalo is very comparable to a buffalo. Only the very older beeves that have been on exclusive grass will have any appreciable amount of fat up around the kidneys and the sirloin area. Whereas a grass-fed beef, there'll be fat throughout, inside and out of the beef. Even against the hide, there'll be an abundance of fat. The grass-fed beef, as a young beef, has very little fat, or what you would call a grass-finished beef has very little fat content to the carcass ratio, and whereas a grain-fed beef, it's not uncommon at all for something that's been finished on grain for 4 to 5, sometimes 6 months. There'll be sometimes 40 and 50 pounds of fat, so much fat that it's not just around the kidneys, but it travels outside the membrane of the stomach. And one of the things that I found that what I would consider, or what even the industry would consider, an overconditioned beef, but it's common with all grain-fed beefs, is the amount of fat that's around the heart. In the lung area, which that puts stress on the animal as it does us. The other thing is, I've noticed that with a naturally grown beef, the carcass is very clean smelling. They might sometimes smell a little oniony if they've been on the patch a little bit, but their carcasses are very clean and fresh. Even on the insides, they don't reek. But when you skin out a beef that has been conditioned on grain, it will have a very strong smell a lot of times. We've had beef brought in by local growers that grow on a very large commercial scale that literally smelled like chemicals. That they had been something that is the antibiotics and the things like that that's in the feed, or if the cattle might have a little bit of a lameness to it, they'll treat it with chemicals, and you can actually smell this chemical coming out of the meat, and that follows that beef all the way through the process. Even the cuts of meat have a foul chemical smell to them. But that's the most thing. But the most pronounced thing about a beef that has been raised by, we would say, a Gentile beef versus a clean beef, a Hebrew beef, would be the amount of fat in the meat is probably the most predominant thing. Yes, sir.
Now, according, of us being Hebrews, we know that the fat belongs to the Most High. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Mm-hmm. But what the Gentiles do, the Americans, the Greco-Roman European Cultural Society, is they corn feed these beefs. And the reason why, of course, and people, if you don't get this stuff out of your mind, you're going to think it's all right. But that corn creates a marble effect in the meat. And that's the reason why people like those fat, juicy steaks. Now, Elder Doug, come here for a second, Elder Doug. Elder Doug is our ardent hunter. No doubt about it. And, he shoots a lot of deer, turkey, anything that's clean that moves. Hallelujah. And when all of us, all the brethren here, we do a lot of butchering of meat. Now, just talking about the deer, can you tell us the difference in far as when you see the deer meat as opposed to meat when you walk past meat that has this nice, pretty color in the store, what you can see from the very beginning?
Well, I mean, the most distinct attribute, of course, is when deer meat has got a deep red color to it. There's very little fat that's mixed in with the meat, just in the areas that fat normally are, as compared to a store-bought piece of cut where you can see the meat is usually a lot lighter in color. It's marble. It's layered with the white strips of fat marble between the meat. There is definitely an obvious difference. With turkey, poultry, the store-bought chicken compared to say a wild turkey. Now, wild turkey tends to be a little tougher, but the consistency of the meat compared to the store-bought, well, the store-bought is basically a lot of times mush, as compared to something that actually got some fiber in it, like a wild turkey.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Are we beginning to see this thing? You see, when the Most High give us direction, and he has us to live a certain way, to do a certain way, there's a reason for it. We may not understand everything, but there's a reason for it. And the reason why I bring you this truth is because I respect you and I love you. That includes you folks out there who don't know no better. I respect you and love you too. That's the reason why we bring you this truth. All right? Sister Cindy, come on up here for a second. Sister Cindy is our herbalist. And if there's anybody that knows anything about what's going on in the industry and stuff, she herself can tell you, which we're also going to hear from this. And see, we're letting you also see, brothers and sisters, that we haven't just fallen off the apple cart. We fell off the swine cart. And we decided not to get back on it. Hallelujah. But tell us a little bit, Sister Cindy, about the industry and the process and the meat and what's in it and whatever the Most High puts on your mind to hopefully impact the people of the Most High Yah out there.
If you don't raise your own beef, you don't know what kind of chemicals you're eating, because they put growth hormones in beef and chicken, and they put antibiotics. And then we have diseases now that are becoming resistant to antibiotics because we have antibiotics in us if we've eaten that meat. We don't have to take the antibiotic. We're getting it through the meat. And they're putting a lot of growth hormones in chickens. It doesn't take near as long for a little chicken to be a big chicken anymore. They've really cut that time down. And in the process, one of the things that's very noticeable are younger girls are developing a lot quicker. And there was a study done in Puerto Rico on all of a sudden girls were developing. They took the chicken away and it stopped. Now, it didn't go, with those girls, it did go away, but it stopped on those girls. So that was a direct link to the hormones that they were taking in as they ate the chicken. I found this out, it's not been too long ago. I went to a place and was going to get chicken. And this place also serves shrimp. I'm not for sure what, maybe some pork, I don't know, but I do know there's shrimp there. And I was ready to order my chicken, and it occurred to me, is it cooked in the same place? And I asked, and it was. So if you're going out to eat and you think you're getting chicken, you may be getting chicken, but it may be cooked in the same vat, or I'm not for sure what they call it, as shrimp or a piece of ham. So I call that cross-contamination. I don't need that. And this occurred to me, it was actually a week ago today. I was at a Mexican restaurant, and I saw a chicken breast come out, and that thing was so thin. You could almost see through it if you'd held it up. Pretty wide, flat, and extremely thin. And I thought then, when did a chicken breast begin to look like that? It didn't resemble it. Can you remember back at that particular restaurant how the chicken breast looked? Have you seen it?
You talking about Latitas?
Yes, yeah. I didn't want to say that. Yeah. You remember so thin you could actually almost see through it. And that doesn't resemble the chicken breast. But the chemicals is what you really need to stay away from, the chemicals, because it's not good for your body.
Right. So you see, the reason why that the young girls, because these chemically induced animals, they have growth hormones, and the growth hormones, what it does is it puts the pituitary gland in overdrive, and it starts making these little girls who are 12 years old look like that they're 16 and 17 years old. If you understand what I mean. Maisie, how old are you? 12. Come here, Sister Maisie. Everybody says, well, everybody's different. Yeah, you got that right. We're going to show you what a Hebrew 12-year-old looks like. See, this is a Hebrew 12-year-old, and she's straight up. Hallelujah. If you didn't know better, you thought she was 10 or 9 or 8. But she's 12 years old. Hallelujah. Now, the 12 years old out there, bless you, honey. Come here, Sky. You're 12 years old. You're 11, 10, 11, 12, and 13 years old. They look like this. Mm-hmm. And Sky, how old are you, honey?
15.
That's 15 years old. You see the difference? Hallelujah. Because, bless you, honey, because our little girls have been raised out here in what you despise. The old path and the old way. Because you have been trained by your handlers very good. And then we wonder why we're sick as a population. Brother Shane, go ahead and roll Watch and Learn. This is number 2, the dirty little secret about meat. Listen to this.
Consumer news tonight. When it comes to meat, the USDA seal is required to prove that the meat has been inspected by a federal agency.
But what many consumers may not know is that some meat has actually been treated with carbon monoxide gas in order to keep it looking fresh for weeks. Kitty Pilgrim has more.
Red, fresh meat, or is it? Congressional hearings pointed to the pitfalls of treating meat with carbon monoxide.
Treating meat with carbon monoxide allows the meat to keep its freshly ground red color, even though the meat may have spoiled. I have a picture on the screen. There's 2 packages of ground meat that were left out at room temperature for 27 hours. You can see the one which was treated with carbon monoxide looks fresh and red, while the other meat has turned brown and quite nasty looking.
Congressman Stupak and Congressman Ed Markey have introduced legislation that would require meat treated with carbon monoxide to be labeled so the consumer would know. According to the industry, 2/3 of all meat and chicken is no longer cut by a butcher in front of customers or in back of the supermarket case. Now, pre-packaged, case-ready meat is prepared off-site at large distributors and then shipped to supermarkets. The carbon monoxide treatment keeps meat looking fresh in that process. Food experts say a pound of ground beef cut by a butcher goes brown in 4 to 5 days. But meat treated with carbon monoxide by a meat packer can stay looking fresh for weeks. It's the same with imported seafood. Congressman Stupak says his subcommittee tested seafood from China and Vietnam treated with carbon monoxide. 20% turned out to be bad and was refused.
It's a problem because consumers aren't informed about how meat is treated. The meat is being treated with chemicals so that it's going to look like it's fresher than it is. I think consumers have a right to know how fresh their meat is.
Industry representatives of large meat packers say the additive is harmless, and it's easy to tell when the product goes bad. Kitty Pilgrim, CNN.
All right. So we have been trained to say, God help us. Well, God is always trying to help us. That's why he sent people like me. So that you don't depend on this system and this government. Now, these congressmen and people, these people are stage playing. And I'm going to tell you the reason why, because I'm going to say the stuff that's unpopular that you don't like hearing. You see, you hear me use the term all the time that we have taxation without representation. Y'all ever heard me use that term? Let me explain myself, okay? You're under the prefaces or the influence of believing that because you pay taxes, that you're paying these people who allegedly, so-called, supposed to represent you, that they're representing your best interest as the people. So you may give what the average congressman may make $120,000 a year. Are y'all listening? And so when you go out there and you play this little game that they have, I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote somebody in, vote somebody in. First of all, your rights exist because you live as a free-born man and woman. But they're easily taken away when you're stupid as hell. And you will not follow the laws and statutes and commandments of this book. Are y'all listening to me? And especially when you will not listen to those who have been chosen by the Most High. And so you get these people that will go out there and spend millions of dollars campaigning for a position. You know the reason why they spend those millions of dollars? Because if they get elected or selected, you elect, they select. Are y'all listening to me? Now, I'm just a dumb old guy that hold up turkeys that Elder Doug shoot, butcher deer, talk crazy. Come here, Sister Misty. I got to show you some country talking crazy. Hallelujah. Misty. What can I get Misty to say? Say yesterday.
Yesterday.
Did y'all hear that? And now I'm getting abused up here. Huh? We'll try one more time. Sister, say yesterday.
Yesterday.
She's a country girl. And so all you people make fun of me. I get people out there grieving me all the time talking about how I talk. That's what happens when you're disconnected. See, we understand each other fine. I understood what you said. Because we were raised different. All right, follow me? Watch it. Say Yahweh.
Yahweh.
See? Still, she could say that just right, didn't she? That doesn't make me ignorant or her ignorant because we don't talk the way you folks talk. You folks been trained by the people who are presenting this stuff. But this is my Hebrew sister along with everybody else in here. And we come in all different shapes, colors, and sizes. And we understand each other very, very well. Do you understand me? Do I sound crazy? You understand the words I pronounce too? Yep. Say yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Y'all hearing that? That's just the way my sister talks. There ain't nothing wrong with that, is it? Hallelujah. Thank you, Sister Misty. Nothing wrong with that. All my sisters hate being called up. All of them do. But watch this. Let me get back to your selected officials. Listen to me real good. Your selected officials, once they get up there, you think that they're going to sit up there and change anything that's going on in that outhouse up there? You got another thing coming. Again, the United States of America is a corporation. It is a corporation. Are you following me? And you are a slave to it. So when you get up there, guess what? There are people who got deeper pockets than the taxpayers. They're called lobbyists in corporations. So they'll feed them $300,000 or $400,000, sometimes $1 million, to push forth their agenda. That's what we have with these food industries and these drug companies. So they'll take someone that is in power to pass legislation for them. You know the reason why? Because they're going to represent themselves to the one that pays them the most. Your little measly $100,000 or $120,000 that you give them, that's just pocket change. When you get a lobbyist or a corporation line their pockets with $1 million, $2 million under the table, and then tell them, I want you to write a bill and I want you to pass this legislation, they get up there and grandstand up there and act like they have your best interest in mind, they could care less about you. That's the reason why we have videos out like this that comes out. That's the reason why when you go to these stores, you thinking that your interest is represented, but really, truly, the corporations is, because they can turn around and pump that meat up with all type of carbon monoxide. You can't even go to a store no more and see an old-fashioned butcher that will butcher your meat right there in front of you. You know the reason why? Because they don't want you to see all the chemicals and all the drugs that they're putting in it, and don't tell them how long that stuff has been on the shelf before it even makes it to the store. Your country. And you keep saying, God help us. God is not going to help an ignorant, stupid, dumb people that keep submitting themselves to the beast. The answer is, come out of her, my people. And I'm just a dumb old country boy. By some of y'all understand that all you educated folk smell good, know it all. Man, you're sick as hell. Pastor, I don't like the way you talk. Well, maybe we got a dilemma because I don't like the way you listen. Are y'all listening? All right. We hadn't played that one yet, have we? Watch this. There's more. There's more. Watch this. Y'all ready for this? It gets better. It really gets worse, but it gets better. It gets better for us, worse for you. Hallelujah. That's why, brothers and sisters, come out of her. Not only those pagan, satanic Christian churches, but come out of the systems of this world. Stop doing things the way the Greeks and the Gentiles do it. Do it the way the Israelites do it. Hallelujah. I keep saying the blessings of the Most High is just overrunning us. And we don't even know half the story until it's brought before our eyes. Hallelujah. Roll the camera or the video, Brother Shane. Watch this. You ready, Brother Juan? Get in there. You there? All right now. Y'all ready?
Did
Go ahead, Brother Shane.
dairy cows have it even worse. Even though they give milk for the same reason that humans do, for their babies, on today's dairy farms, mother cows are treated as nothing more than milk machines. 40% of dairy cows are lame by the time they reach the slaughterhouse. They are hooked up to machines a few times per day, machines that often injure them. At the end of their lives, they are either sent straight to slaughter or are sold for slaughter at cattle auctions. More than 100,000 cows are unable to walk off the transport trucks every year, yet they are slaughtered for human food anyway. At a fraction of their natural lifespan, they're shipped to slaughter. Most hamburger in this country comes from spent dairy cows. Cows give milk for their offspring, not for human beings. These mother cows are impregnated annually to keep the milk flowing, and their babies are torn from them shortly after birth, which causes both of them profound distress. Many of the males are sold to veal farmers, who cram them into tiny crates where they cannot turn around or even comfortably lie down. If you're consuming milk, you're supporting the veal industry. Veal calves who can barely walk because their muscles have atrophied from a lack of use and an anemia-inducing diet are also often sold at auctions.
When you were young, you...
This is called profits, capitalism. Are y'all listening? This is what this is all about. So all that hamburger meat that y'all getting up there when y'all go to those stores, whoo, all you eating is a bunch of sick cows that can barely even stand up. And sometimes we wonder why when we go to places and eat, we end up getting food poisoning. Because the meat is already poisoned. Uh-oh. Are y'all listening to this? Now, what we're going to do, Chuck, can you come over and cut this light back on real quick? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and read the dietary along Leviticus 11. Now, brothers and sisters, you know it's just the way I preach and teach. You understand me? So you cannot get offended at the way that the message is coming because it's designed to bring impact. You know, at least if you parents don't care about yourself, at least care about your children. Does that make sense? At least care about your children. You won't go poison yourself, then have at it. But don't go out there and try to pull a 1 Timothy chapter 4 and pray over a piece of meat and sanctify it and think God is going to bless it when it's already sick, chemically induced, got swine's blood running through it. You ain't going to bless what God has already done cursed, what is already called unclean. Hallelujah. Leviticus chapter 11. Come on with it, Brother Ed.
The Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them,
what did he say?
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the clean beasts which ye shall eat among all beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Go ahead.
Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat.
What shall you not eat, Brother Ed?
Of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean to you. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean to you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean to you. And the swine, though he divideth the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you.
So the swine is unclean. Don't give me no mess about what about the chicken. You talk to the Most High about that when you see him. But the one who made this clearly tells us that the swine is unclean. Now you listen to me real good. That if you're a Christian, eat all the swine you want. Have at it. Dress it up. Saute it up. Have at it. Good, get after it. But if you're an Israelite, you are forbidden to consume these meats. You don't eat swine. You don't eat pig. That's what. See there and dressed it up.
Yeah.
Swine is the impact name for it. It was from the very beginning, but they call it pork and pig today. No wonder the majority of Americans look just like pigs.